Hey guys, Taylor here and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. If you've already been here, thanks for coming back. So in today's video, as requested, I am going to be testing and reviewing the new Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Concealers. So if you are interested in seeing this concealer in action or just hearing my thoughts, then please keep on watching. Before we start the video, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Please turn your post notifications on so you get notified every time your girl uploads a video. And follow me on Instagram. And with that being said, let's jump right into the video. Alright you guys, so I went ahead and I did my everyday eye look off camera using the Supreme Nudes eyeshadow palette. I also primed my face off camera with the Milani Skin Quench Hydrating Primer. I'm going to apply my foundation and then we can jump into talking about the new Beautiful Skin Concealers. I'm just going to use my McGrath foundation and I'm going to apply this with my Morphe M439 brush. Okay you guys, so foundation is on. I went with a more medium coverage foundation just to see how much coverage the concealer is going to give me. I pulled up the details for the concealer on Sephora and this concealer retails for $33 and comes in 30 shades. This is supposed to be a creamy skin-like medium to full coverage concealer that visibly conceals, brightens and lifts eyes and face with up to 16 hours of wear. As I said before, this retails for $33. This is a little bit more pricey than the average concealer. Regular concealer retails for about $28 to like $30, but it is Charlotte Tilbury, so I expected the higher price point. I picked up 2 shades in this concealer. I didn't intend to pick up 2 shades, but I ordered 1 shade. When I swatched it, it wasn't giving what I expected, so I picked up another shade in store. So I was like, I have 2 shades, so why not just show you guys the 2 shades, but I'm only going to be keeping 1 shade. So the 2 shades that I picked up is the shade 13 and the shade 11.75. So this is what the concealer packaging looks like. Very simple, very sleek. It's giving expensive, it's giving luxe. The package does look a lot like the Beautiful Skin foundation. This is what the doe foot looks like. It is a bit small. As I said before, I picked up 2 shades, so I'm going to go ahead and swatch both shades, and I'm also going to swatch a couple other concealers and show you guys what they look like side by side. So this is what the shade number 13 Deep looks like. I feel like this is going to be the shade that I'm going to use. So this shade right down here is the shade 11.75 Tan. So the Beautiful Skin concealer is meant to go hand in hand with the Beautiful Skin foundation. It was a little bit hard to choose a shade just because 1, I feel like the undertones are a little bit off, and 2, I feel like the concealer dries down a little bit darker. I don't know if you guys can tell based on when I just applied the swatches to the back of my hand, but I feel like they dry down a little bit darker. So initially I wanted to use the shade number 13, but because of how it looks when it dries down, I was a little bit iffy. When I went in store and I swatched the shade number 12, number 12 was straight up yellow. It was too golden, so I decided to go with the shade 11.75, which is why I now have 2 shades. So another thing that I noticed with the concealer is that after I remove the swatch from the back of my hand, I'm seeing like some shimmery specks left behind. I don't know if it's just me. At first I thought I just had shimmers from like doing my eyeshadow, but I noticed the same thing when I went in store. I'm not sure if that is going to make a difference when I apply the concealer. I'm not sure if it's going to leave shimmers under my eyes when I apply the concealer, but we will see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the shade number 13 first on this side, and based on how it looks, then I'll decide if I need to go in with the shade number 11.75. So I feel like number 13 is going to be the shade that I use just based on how it looks under my eyes. I'll see what it looks like once I blend it out. But this is supposed to have golden neutral undertones, and I feel like I'm getting mostly golden undertones, but the concealer feels very, very creamy. In comparison to the rest of my concealers, this doe foot is a bit small. I prefer a bigger doe foot, but it did a pretty good job at picking up the concealer from the container, so I'm not mad at that at all. I am going to let the concealer sit and I'm going to quickly contour my face. I'm using the Fenty Beauty cream bronzer in the shade 06 Chocolate. So I went ahead and I swatched a couple of my other concealers. So at the top we have the Beautiful Skin Concealer from Charlotte Tilbury. Below that we have the ABH concealer in the shade number 18. Below that I have the new Sephora Best Skin Ever concealer, and then at the bottom I have the KVD Good Apple concealer. So this shade right here is the shade 11.75. In comparison to the rest of my concealers, I feel like the shade number 13 is going to be your best bet, because I personally feel like number 12 is just straight up yellow. It's going to be too yellow. Unless you like a super golden under eyes, then I'll say go with number 12, but I feel like number 13 is going to be your best bet, because 11.75 is just a bit too light. You guys know I don't mind mixing two concealers, but for one, the price of the concealer, and two, not everybody wants to pick up two concealers, which is why lately I've been going for more like one and done kind of concealers. I've been trying to find like one shade that will brighten the under eye as well as conceal, and for me, honestly, number 13 is going to be the best bet. So let me know if you guys prefer 11.75 or the shade number 13. But my concealer has been sitting for a hot minute. What I'm going to do is blend one side with a brush and then blend the other side with a sponge. So I'm going to blend this side with a brush. You guys know when it comes on to blending my concealer with a brush, my favorite brush is the BK Beauty X Angie Hot and Flashy concealer brush. I will have it linked down below. The shape of this brush is just amazing. It fits under the eyes perfectly. So I'm going to use this to blend the concealer under my eyes. I must say it's blending really nicely, really easily, and my concealer has been sitting for a good minute, so that is a plus. So that was very easy to blend, even though the concealer was sitting for a good minute. And I must say I am seeing like a good medium coverage. I wouldn't say it's full coverage, but I am seeing a good medium coverage. So far it looks beautiful under the eyes, very nice and radiant, very creamy, was very easy to blend, and I like this. I really like this. So I'm going to take my Shop Miss A Pop-Out sponge and I'm going to blend this side of the face. That was so easy to blend and the concealer was sitting so long. I really like this concealer. I really like it. It was really easy to blend. So this is what it looks like with a brush, and this is what it looks like with a sponge. I can definitely see a huge difference between the sponge and the brush. The side with the brush, I definitely got more coverage, and the side with the sponge, I feel like it shared out the product a lot more, and under my eyes, I'm getting more of a light coverage, and then this side, I'm getting like a decent medium coverage. So I personally prefer the side with the brush, depending on how much coverage you want. As I said before, I can see the spot under my eye, like right here. I can see that little dark spot. So I'd say if you want more coverage, use the brush. If you want like a lighter everyday coverage, use the sponge. But nonetheless, under the eyes still look radiant, even though I used a sponge. What I am going to do is blend the rest of my face out, and then I'm going to try and build it up under the eyes. So this is what my skin looks like after blending the concealer. I feel like this side with the sponge is a little bit too sheared out. So I am going to try and build the concealer up, especially on this side with the sponge. And I am going to blend it out with a brush. So I'm going to take back the brush and just blend the concealer out. You guys, I don't need a new concealer, but this one is really nice. There's just something about it that just looks beautiful on the skin. It looks nice and skin-like. I do recommend you blend it out with a brush though. Like, I feel like blended with a brush, I am getting a lot more out of the concealer. I don't know if that makes sense. It looks a lot more glowy, a lot more radiant. I'm getting a lot more coverage. It just looks beautiful. Wow. So I don't know if this is going to crease up on me, so I'm going to quickly set the concealer. I'm using my Sephora translucent setting powder, and I'm just using the same sponge that I used for the concealer, and I'm going to just press that in. I'm just going to take my Dior Powder No Powder in the shade 6N to set the rest of my face. So this is what the face is looking like after setting with powders. Those shimmer specks that I was talking about earlier, after setting with powder, I am now seeing it under my eyes, and I'm also seeing it on my forehead. It isn't glittery, but it does give the skin like a wet look, like a radiant look. I don't know how to explain it, but be mindful of that. If you can go in store and swatch the concealer, then you will see what I'm talking about. But after setting, I'm seeing the little shimmer specks, but as I said, it's not glitter, so it still looks pretty good. So I'm going to quickly do my lips before I give you guys my final thoughts. I'm using my Huda Beauty lip liner in the shade Rich Brown. For lipstick, I'm using this e.l.f. lipstick in the shade Cream. And then I'm going to use my McGrath gloss in the shade For Real. Alright you guys, so this is the finished look. I feel like I'm serving skin. It's giving everyday, radiant, simple kind of makeup look. My skin has a very nice glow to it, and I didn't use any highlighter or anything like that. So my final thoughts on the Beautiful Skin Concealer from Charlotte Tilbury. I really like the concealers under my eyes. Look really smooth. I think this is going to be a more light to medium coverage kind of concealer. You can build it up depending on what you use to blend the concealer out. As you guys saw, I used both a sponge and a brush to apply the concealer, but I did get more coverage blending with a brush than I did with the sponge. So I'd recommend you blend the concealer with a brush if you want more coverage, and if you want something that is just going to be a nice sheared out concealer to go with, say, your tinted moisturizer, I'd say use a sponge. But so far, I really like the concealer. Under my eyes look really nice and smooth. As I said, I did see a bit of shimmer in the concealer. I can see it mostly on my forehead, but other than that, the concealer still looks beautiful. It doesn't look chunky and glittery. It just gives the skin a really nice glow. I'd say run to Sephora, swatch this, and let me know if you're seeing those same shimmer specks that I'm seeing in the concealer. But other than that, I really feel like the concealer is beautiful. careful. You do not need to pick up 2 shades of this concealer. I'm not going to hold on to 2 shades of this concealer. The shade that I would recommend is the shade number 13. I feel like it did a good job at brightening the under eyes as well as concealing. You guys know I'm all about giving you guys one shade, and I feel like the shade for this one is going to be number 13. I feel like the shade range is pretty good, but the undertones are a little bit off. So other than that, I feel like Charlotte Tilbury really did good with this concealer. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Are you going to pick this concealer up? Let's keep the conversation going in the comment section down below. Once again, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.